Welcome to the Fish House Nation podcast presented by Catch Cover, your home for ice fishing news, tips, stories, and strategies. And now, your host, Chris Larson.
The St. Paul Ice Fishing and Winter Sports Show is coming up this weekend, December 6th through the 8th. The largest ice fishing show in the world takes place at the St. Paul River Center, right next door to the Xcel Energy Center. Our presenting sponsor, Catch Cover, will be at the show in a new space this year, right at the bottom of the escalator as you enter the show. We'll be recording episodes of the Fish House Nation podcast right in the booth all weekend long, so be sure to stop by and say hello. We're going to talk St. Paul Ice Fishing Show today, and we're talking it with Steve Hansen. Steve represents Eskimo Ice Fishing Gear, Ion Augers, Catch Cover, and some other brands at the show. Steve, thanks for coming on.
You bet. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Steve, we wanted to talk to you about the St. Paul show from a manufacturer's perspective and from an angler's perspective. First, we're all ice anglers, and most of us are gearheads when it comes to ice fishing. What should show attendees expect from the show this year?
Well, like every year, it's really a fun time for all the manufacturers in the ice fishing business to do this because, you know, we and all of our peers put on our tuxedos, if you will, and bring our best, you know, show booths in there and as many people as possible answer questions. And it's a time for us, for all manufacturers to finally get a real glimpse on what people think about these products. And ultimately you see the excitement. And it's something that every one of us in the ice fishing business gear up for every single year. Proverbial Super Bowl, if you will, for those of us that do this. And, you know, the Twin Cities metro area draws folks from many states around the ice belt, you know, as far west as Colorado or even west, and then certainly as far east as Pennsylvania and north of there even, because there's just so many people that pay attention to the sport and know that St. Paul is really the destination to find everything that you'd ever want to see and learn about and hear from top pros on the angling side to get the best information and see everything that all these manufacturers has to offer. So it's a great fun time that we all look forward to. There's obviously a lot of planning and it can be helter-skelter at times, but that's part of the fun, and it's always a great weekend that we look forward to every year if you're in the ice fishing business.
Yeah, 25 to 30,000 attendees at the show, about 200 exhibitors. If someone is coming to the show for the first time, what types of products should they expect to see?
Well, I think the beauty of it is the industry hasn't forgotten about, you know, the importance of early participation or new people to the sport. So it's not something that, you know, just caters to what we refer to as that 20% crowd or 10%, which are the folks that are first on the ice that maybe are paying attention to this nearly every day of the year, as opposed to the folks that are going to do it with a family and maybe spend a couple, 3 weekends a year ice fishing. So you kind of get a good cross section, not only from a manufacturer's perspective of offering products and seeing them all there that cater to somebody that's just getting into the sport for the first time, or somebody that's doing this or has done this for years. So that's what's really good about it, is that if you want to take in a seminar and just learn from somebody that does this for, you know, for their career, as a guide or something like that, and they want to just learn some kind of tips and techniques and things, great. But if you know about that and you just want to really get into those last final questions that you've dug in online, you've looked at all this stuff, you just have one or two extra questions that you want to get some real technical advice on from factory personnel, you know, from that side of it, you have that too. So you're going to pretty much get a cross section top to bottom on every aspect of the sport, from walking out on the ice with a sled and going super light to obviously the wheelhouses that are also going to be on display, which is something that we obviously service as well. So it's a one-stop shop for everybody. It really is.
Yeah, you get everything from, you know, jigs to lures and rods, reels. You know, you're going to have your portable shacks. You're going to have the wheelhouses, pretty much a wide variety of everything that you could think of when it comes to ice fishing. I think a lot of people go to these shows without any real plan, but really going to these shows can be very educational. It can be something that people can use to become more successful on the ice as the year goes on. And I'm going to ask you in a couple minutes, like, what should an experienced angler be looking for? But first, what should someone who's maybe just starting to go ice fishing, what kind of plan should they go into the show with? What would you say their goals should be as they go into the show?
I think a goal that people should have is just like any kind of recon mission that you have, is to just really get information, and information comes from in many forms as it relates to the show. But the plan would be ask several manufacturers just different ideas. If you're looking out on the fishing side, go see the different companies that make these lures and say, hey, I want to learn about how to catch certain types of fish. They're going to be able to tell you and give you examples of what types of lures or techniques are best used for certain species of fish, depending what kind of angler that you are. But it's really about gathering information and utilizing the resources that you have at the show, which is why some people go back, not only for one day, they come back, for a second day, because they might want to do seminars one day. If they've really bought into the sport, they want to do more product stuff one day. They want to ask all those questions on the novice side, just gather a bunch of intel, but take the time to learn from the folks that are doing this on a daily basis that can share that information with you. And the seminar scene over the years has certainly changed in terms of, where people can find information, but definitely take the opportunity with a lot of the great guys and gals that are going to be doing seminars or at these booths, is to just go in with an open mind and ask questions about certain techniques, and ultimately boil it down to what type of fishing do you want to do, which would be, maybe you want to spend most of your time outside and you want to fish for panfish. Talk to the manufacturers that you've kind of keyed in on, that can give you some great ideas on how to become more successful. And that's why we're all there to help and utilize those resources that are there. That's what I would say.
Yeah, there's seminars on the hour, every hour. So a full slate of people up there. There are lots of wide-ranging topics. You can find those at the website for the St. Paul Ice Show, and that website is stpaulicefishingshow.com. But seminars every hour during show hours, so plenty of information. And the cool thing, I think, one of the things that people kind of miss out on when they go to these seminars is every single seminar at the end of it, there's going to be a question, and that's, does anyone have any questions? And that's really a spot where if someone has something specific they're thinking of, you get that opportunity to talk with someone who spends a lot of time on the ice.
Absolutely. It's there's such a unbelievable amount of knowledge that whoever's going to be giving the seminar has. And I wouldn't say that everyone falls into the category of, not wanting to be the first person to ask a question, but those are usually the best types of seminars, I would say, is when you get to that point, taking what you've learned and, give that individual the opportunity to answer some questions, because we all know it. Somebody else probably has the same one, or you can just learn a lot more about what you want to know specifically, and just tap into those resources. If you're going to go to a seminar, take an opportunity. They might say something during the seminar about a piece of electronics or the way that they fish, and use those as opportunities to find out more. And then ultimately everybody's there on the show floor, to help. And that comes in the form of obviously selling product. And it's obviously a big event for manufacturers from the sales side, but, take that information and go take advantage of that by all the deals and specials and different things that are going on at the event. So use the tools that are there. You got the best people in the industry to answer your questions at this event. So definitely take advantage.
Yeah, Steve, everybody seems to be looking for a deal. I'm seeing on the internet right now, everybody's talking about what kind of deal they think they can get at the show. What kind of deal should people expect to see as they make their way to the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show?
Generally, none of which we can speak about. No, it's a fun event because people gear up for this all year, and everything, and not everything, but if you think about the four categories or the four main categories in ice fishing, wheelhouses aside, is you have outerwear, and outerwear now comes in it's $500 sometimes or more for a full suit. That certainly provides flotation and all these great things that are offered. And you have electronics, and those are at minimum $300 to $500, up to $2,500 plus. So if you think about what it costs to get into ice fishing, if you're all in, minus a four-wheeler, minus a snowmobile or a wheelhouse, the cost to get into the sport with the best gear is a lot, but it's still somewhat affordable. And if you're going to get into this and want to take advantage of buying any combination of those things, there's obviously deals to be had at the show, and you're going to want to talk to, all the individuals there. There's so many great retailer partners that service the sport that are at the show that, many of which attend, come to know. So take advantage of it. The deals are going to be incredible, whether it's lures or electronics or everything in between. It's a great place to go if you want to kind of have that dollar go pretty far.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about ice fishing is to get the best stuff. It's still far less money than worrying about buying a new boat, or even when you talk about hunting, having a piece of property. The cost of entry is really pretty low to get started. Steve, you're a manufacturer's rep. You've represented several companies that will be at the show. What are the companies that you represent? What are they looking to get out of a show like this?
So an example for like Eskimo ice fishing gear, Ion ice augers, or mentioned Catch Cover. The thing that manufacturers really take away the most from it isn't by what people ask for that day, but what they ask for that we don't have. Needs that the market seems to be met. So new product ideas, because you've got such an in-tune community of anglers in one spot, obviously it's an opportunity to get questions answered or to help on the service side. If somebody has something that isn't working quite right or whatever, you get to hear what those things are. But there's always, hey, we've seen this, we love it. What if you did this? And there's so many ideas that come from it. So I think from the manufacturer side, certainly selling products and all of that is, goes without saying. But the other side of that, which really helps drive development and different things that companies will do, a lot of that information comes in real time from folks attending the show that are using this stuff every day, and they've got great ideas that they aren't going to be able to bring those to life because they do this for fun, but they're bringing ideas that ultimately a manufacturer might think about and tune to turn into a new product. So a lot of new product ideas come from the show from a manufacturer side for sure. It's been that way for as many years as I've been going, and you listen. Manufacturers listen a lot, and great ideas come from it. So from a manufacturer side, I'd say probably that's number one outside of just being there, a part of it, and selling stuff.
We talked a little bit about going into the show with a plan as an angler or as an attendee. As a manufacturer, how much planning goes into the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show?
It's unbelievable amount of planning that goes into it. It's a 365-day a year thing. It really is. There's obviously periods of time coming out of the season that you go to the event and you look at how what type of response that you had or how customers responded to different things. And you're constantly thinking about what you can do better for the next year in terms of, not just the selling part, but how to best engage with the end user. And then you come out of that into January, February period, and we're enjoying the season that we have, and we go right into planning for the next year. And I'd say St. Paul, in for sure, becomes a big part of a marketing perspective, how products are positioned, and we want to make sure that folks know that they can come to this show and see everything new. So it really is something that is talked about a lot as it relates to planning, because it's so important. I mean, the largest population of ice anglers in the world is right there, that do it the way that we do it and have kind of refined it over the years. And you just want to make sure that continues to be at that high level. That's why I mentioned kind of that the cliche of this being the Super Bowl is really it. You want to do the very best job you can at this event, because it's ultimately an impression that you're leaving on somebody, and that's why we all go to such lengths to make it as best as we can.
Yeah, you call it the Super Bowl of ice fishing shows, and that kind of leads into my next question. As your job is really to go out to a lot of different events. You do a lot of store events and smaller events. How does the St. Paul Ice Show compare to a local event that maybe someone has gone to and maybe they're thinking about going to the St. Paul show but never have been? How does it compare with something like a store event?
In scale, obviously it's every manufacturer having every product for the most part that they make on display. So certainly the scale of the event really what ratchets up, which is what makes it a lot of fun. From comparing it to a store event, it's an interesting comparison. I don't know that I can make it directly because there's so many store events that we do from, northern Iowa to, as far north as warm Minnesota, and they're all unbelievable. But the scale of this and how everybody in the industry, regardless of manufacturer, all kind of comes to the same spot. It's obviously much more significant in its presence and what it gives to folks that can come in from all over the place and how it's promoted, obviously. But the size of it, it's still, I think the best part about it is it's still this great, kind of little big industry that we have, and people pay attention to it in July. It seems like as much as they pay attention to it in December sometimes, depending on how, new products get introduced or things like that. So I'd say it's an interesting comparison to make, not a completely fair one just because of how these events are run, but in terms of scale, there's nothing like it in the world. And if you haven't been to it, you need to go, because it's something that you'll want to come back to. That's for sure.
Awesome, Steve. It's been great talking with you. Is there something about the St. Paul Ice Fishing Show that I haven't asked you that you'd like to talk about?
It's been a big part of our industry growth, and the folks that have been running and promoting the show for years have done just such a wonderful job with making it kind of the event that it's become. So if anything else, just to thank you to the staff that helps run the event and puts on such a great show for all of us in the industry. And it's why we get so excited about it, because it's extremely well run. They do a great job to make it fun for the people that go there. And again, if you haven't been, come and check it out. Everybody gears up for it, and we're looking forward to it for sure.
Steve, thanks. The St. Paul Ice Fishing and Winter Sports Show kicks off on Friday, December 6th and wraps up on Sunday the 8th. For more information, you can visit their website at stpaulicefishingshow.com. For more information on Eskimo ice fishing products, visit geteskimo.com. Thanks for listening. If you're attending the show, please stop by and say hello. If you can't make it, keep an eye on the Catch Cover Fish House Nation Facebook page. We'll be putting up live interviews throughout the weekend.
Thanks for listening to the Fish House Nation podcast presented by Catch Cover. For more ice fishing content, visit our blog at catchcover.com.